Welcome back to No Offseason. It is June, which means it's Pride Month, and we are continuing our series of interviews with some of the fiercest out and proud figures in women's basketball. And we are so excited to be joined by the one and only Sue Bird. Thank you so much for being here, Sue.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, I know our listeners know who you are, but just in case, you're considered one of the greatest players in WNBA history. You were drafted number 1 by the Seattle Storm back in 2002, and you played your entire career there, bringing you to 4 WNBA championships. Oh my gosh. Okay, 5-time gold medals as well. I'm sure there is a shelf somewhere, maybe a bookcase, maybe a room filled with all of your accolades, just like hanging on walls and such. Overall, also went to UConn, got some championships there, racked up 2, and then officially retired in 2022. But let's just be real, you haven't really fully stepped away from the game. You're still very involved in your retirement. And one of the biggest things that you've been doing since, of course, we're very excited about it, podcasting. You've inserted your voice in a new way into the world of women's basketball, a touch more, which you host with your partner, Megan Rapinoe, which we adore. I was at the Valkyries practice center, the Sephora Performance Practice Center show during All-Star Weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend, and y'all showed out. It was hilarious. It was good. It was awesome. And then most recently, Bird's Eye View, which is more of a solo venture in which you're talking about women's hoops. And I've been talking a lot, so I'm now going to ask you a question, which is when you think about the media landscape right now, we know there's been a boom. There are a lot of people that are trying to get into this conversation, that are inserting themselves into this conversation, which is great. We want to grow this space and the way that it's being talked about when it comes to women's hoops. But I wanted to ask you, you're a former player. You know what it was like when it was scratching to get people at your practices or at your games, and now everyone wants to get in there. What do you see in the media landscape right now when it comes to women's basketball?
Um, I mean, obviously a ton of growth, which is like you said, something we always wanted. It wasn't that we didn't have any coverage, it was just we didn't have enough. And now that that's
Right.
starting to enter the picture, I always kind of call it where I've landed on this is I refer to it as like an ecosystem. And I think what happened is as the WNBA kind of kaboomed in the last year or two, this ecosystem grew and more people were coming into it. But we didn't have a balance. We didn't have enough people who really understood the league, knew its history, knew why certain things would happen, why certain things wouldn't, and had a true understanding. And I think that's where I come into play, not just myself, other former players who were doing it, people like yourselves who have been in women's basketball. It's important to balance that ecosystem and to have an understanding because with all the new and like the influx of the people who were new to women's basketball, they were getting some of the narratives wrong. Some of them were just off, and then it kind of took on a life of its own at times. And again, I'm going to be repetitive with it, but there wasn't something to counteract act it. There wasn't a balance to it,
Mm.
and I think the more that starts to increase, those of us who really know the game start to get, larger platforms, it can all exist because you know what? Sadly, in our world today, you do need the hot take. You do need the wrong take. You need to have these conversations to really get to the bottom of things. But what was missing was some of the accuracy.
There you go. And I imagine that that's what you want to bring with a bird's eye view. Like, first and foremost, anyone that can get Jackie Young to talk for over an hour, applaud, applaud. I've been enjoying this content, but particularly the accuracy of allowing players to tell their stories themselves and being able to provide that perspective themselves. Is that you know the impetus of why you launch your podcast to be able to give that lane? Is that one of the things that you remember missing as a player, or even hearing in the ecosystem from players to say, "Man, I really wish I could talk to a former player as opposed to a media member"? Because let's be real, I've interviewed Kate Martin. She was way more open with you than she was with me, but understandably, because you know what she's going through as a former pro, as
Mhm.
a former, big time collegiate player. That is a different vibe. Is that one of the things that Bird's Eye View wants to address?
Yeah, partly. I think some of it was just actually a lot of what I said about ecosystem was more so, pertinent to a touch more. That's kind of how a touch more got started. And then
Mm.
as we were doing that show, we talk about all different sports across the board, but obviously WNBA, women's basketball is something we tap into. And I just found that I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to talk about more. And then really what I'm finding now that I'm actually doing it is what you're saying. I really love having these conversations with players. I do think there's an element of being a former player. I'm able to disarm in a different way, but I also know these players know I'm not trying to do any gotcha moments. I'm not trying to catch them in anything. I'm just
Yep.
trying to have like a real conversation. And I do think it gives them a chance to really talk about things and to have somebody who can connect, can relate, and hopefully leave space for them to tell their side. So I've really been enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I have a couple of minutes on each side of the interview where I get to just talk about the specific basketball things I want to talk about. Sometimes it's players, teams, themes, whatever it is. But for the most part, it's really letting these players just kind of have that space.
I'm happy
You
you
met
talked about the gotcha moments because I feel like that is something Ben, we talked to Candace Parker a little bit, right, about the gentle commentating. I'll let you follow up on this one because I also had this question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, Candace talked about sometimes needing to take the white gloves off and the importance of that in the ecosystem. I guess, what are your thoughts on how media can do things differently or about the idea of being fair but critical when the situation warrants it?
Yeah, I think fair but critical is a great way of saying it. It's something that Candace and I really all of us have talked about for a long time, how there wasn't a lot of critique. I mean, in fairness to everyone who's been around for 20 plus years, it felt too risky to critique at times because it was so easy for so long to jump on that critique and then paint it as if it was the whole league, right? If you said one bad thing about one thing, that was it. The whole league
Yep.
had no value. And so it felt risky, but I do think we're now getting into this place where you can have both. I think the important part is fair but critical. You have to have both kind of have to exist. And like I said, no gotcha moments, but yeah, real conversations. And in real conversations comes, shooting slumps, comes, a game or a play you look back, you wish you did something different. Maybe a relationship with a teammate you wish you handled different. And those are just real conversations.
You mentioned some of your conversations with players. I guess I'm curious about your conversations with ownership. We also know that you have an ownership stake in the Seattle Storm, and obviously there's an ongoing CBA negotiation. Just what have you learned on being, part of that side of the business? Have you talked to Ginny and, Brum, the other members of the Storm ownership group about the ongoing negotiation? Just what do you bring to the mix in terms of those talks?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I stay in touch with them. What I'm bringing is what I knew I was going to be able to bring the minute I became an owner. Gosh, almost, I guess, around a year ago now, a year and some
Mm.
change, which is just I'm on the owner side of things, but I have a player's perspective, and that's unique. And so I'm able to at times learn from the ownership group because I don't know that side as well, and then also provide a little bit of understanding or nuance on what a player might be thinking in certain situations or in certain moments. So I think it's just a really good balance. At the end of the day, I actually don't feel that much different being on this side as opposed to the player side, which is to say, we just want a great deal. We just want a
Mhm.
great deal. We want this league to succeed. Period. Point blank.
you know, in your list of accolades, I guess Zena forgot or did not mention your assist totals. And that is obviously something we've
My
seen some great
bad, my bad, my
passers.
bad.
Courtney Vandersloot obviously tearing her ACL, unfortunately, this
Uh,
past weekend, one of the all time great passers, too. Caitlin Clark, though, of the Fever is very much on pace, it seems like, Sue, to chase down your record one day. And
These
they're,
records have no chance. They play way more games.
That's
they're all
fair,
going to
right,
fall.
you do the math.
I played. I mean, this is where, I don't want to get too caught up in the games played because it is what it is, what it is. I don't feel a way about it. Records are meant to be broken. I think I played like 34 games majority of my career. So if these don't records don't get, they're on the clock. They better break those things in like 5 years.
And they probably will. But I guess for her, like, what makes her so special as a passer, in your mind? What separates her as a passer compared
Yeah.
to her peers?
Caitlin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Caitlin, okay, listen, in order to be in this conversation, right? Like you're not even bringing her name up unless she has incredible court vision, unless she has like the type of vision where she's able to anticipate and read. What I would add to that, and what I think separates her, right, on top of again all the qualities that most great passers have, is she has strength. Sometimes she's able to make passes not because she sees it, not because she's reading the defense. Yes, those things exist, but that's not why she's able to make the pass. She's able to make the pass because she can actually get it there. Some of
Strong
I
arm.
think yeah, the easiest way to see it is her full court passes, but they happen in the half court too. Sometimes she'll have picked her dribble up, somebody will make a cut, and she still has the zip to get like a bounce back, a backdoor pass off the bounce to her teammate on time. So I would just add that strength as like maybe a differentiator to maybe some of the other great passers we've seen.
And speaking of great passers, great players, one of the reasons you're here, you're launching a collectibles collection with eBay soon called Sue Bird's Dream Draft, which I know we've seen and heard about some of the players within that collection, but this is going to be your dream roster of rookie cards, signed gear, historic artifacts from WNBA past and present, and fans are going to have the opportunity to bid on them. My favorite thing is that some of the items are priced at 97 in honor of the first year of the WNBA, 1997. As you look through the players you chose, the type of items you chose, because there is a range here of how the WNBA is represented. Why did you choose the items that you chose? And then if there was one you could keep for yourself, which would it be?
Great question. Well, first of all, you mentioned the 97 cents. So all the items start at 97 cents as an odd. So when the auction gets going June 10th, which is tomorrow, you'll have a week to bid. They all start at 97 cents, which is just like a nice little, like I said, nod. Yeah, it wasn't easy like picking because I had to like, get down to a number, but at the same time, it was so much fun to kind of sift through everything, so much fun to be able to honor like quite literally the past, the present, the future. Some of my favorites are the ones that are connected to moments, like the LA Sparks ticket that you can get, which is when Lisa first dunked. So the first dunk in WNBA
Like,
history. So that
who
was kind of a
had that?
no-brainer. I know. Ask
Crazy.
eBay. Ask eBay. That's
There
why they're
you
the
go.
best, right? That's why they're the
That's
best.
awesome.
So something like that. I think Diana's like Funk Pop thing doll, whatever, Funko Pop. That was
Mhm.
unique. So I thought that was fun. But honestly, if I'm gonna pick one that I get to keep, I'm keeping that Stewie Seattle jersey. That thing is like it's immediately vintage, it's immediately rare, it's immediately like we'll never, she's gonna have 1,000 more Liberty jerseys. This is it. The Storm jerseys are
Right.
gonna run out at some point. So this makes it a little bit of a grail. It's like a grail. So I'm going with
Yeah.
Stewie Seattle jersey.
I like it. That's real. I think for me, the LA Sparks ticket one was the easiest one that threw out that, like, grabbed my attention because 'cause I'm like, first and foremost, those things don't exist anymore. Like, I just recently went to the Kendrick Lamar SZA concert,
Yeah.
and they,
It's on
like,
your
gave us
phone.
these little yeah, you saw, right? It's, like, on my phone, and when we walked in, they try to give us, like, these little placards that are supposed to be commemorative, but it's like, "Meh," it's not the same as being able to see a ticket from a moment like that that no one else has. So this is really, really awesome, that you're launching this. And by the way, by the time the show comes out, it will be today. So go check it out today. Sue Bird's Dream Draft. Lots of cool items. Now, before we go, we got some more questions. Ben,
Yeah,
I know we got to wrap it up.
yeah, just rapid fire, just two quickies. You mentioned playing with Stewie with that jersey. Here's another teammate, Diana Taurasi. She was on our show a few weeks ago, and she mentioned that she thinks one day Paige Beckers will be the best player in the WNBA. Sue, what says you?
What was the question? How did she even get to that? Or did you specifically
Uh,
ask it?
she was reflecting
She
on
just came
Paige's
out and said
game,
it?
and Diana's got a lot of takes. So as you well know,
Yeah, I certainly think Paige has the skill set to be one of the top players for sure. I mean, best in what year does it even matter? Everyone's going to have their preference. But I think what Paige, I think the thing that separates Paige is her efficiency. You saw it in college, and you're seeing it now in the WNBA. It's like something that's maintained, so you know it's real no matter who the competition is. And this is the kind of league when you're efficient and you're on a team where you're going to get looks. It's going to take you a long way. So yeah, I've been enjoying watching Paige play. It was a bummer she had her concussion. I was in Seattle when they played the Wings, so I was bummed I couldn't see her play. But yeah, I guess I'll let D live on that limb by herself for now.
there you go.
I got to end it on a positive note. We heard on A Touch More you talking about the post from, I believe it was Fruit Slice, when it comes to the WNBA's gayest teams.
Remember?
We appreciated that
Uh,
conversation.
oh,
But
yeah.
interestingly enough, we also noticed you guys did not pick who you think is the gayest team in the WNBA. It is Pride Month. Happy Pride. Thoughts before you head out, Sue?
The gayest team? I don't even remember what the criteria was on that post.
All I know is that Jonquel Jones made a significant case for her team in the
She
comments.
did. I think she has a
She
good
did.
point. I think she has a good point. It could be the New York Liberty. They own it. That's what I like about the players on that team, Stewie, JJ,
Mhm.
Tosh. So yeah, we'll go with them. Honestly, who
Okay.
cares?
Right. It was fun. We all enjoyed it as
We all had
fans
fun
to
with it.
watch. It was fun.
Yeah.
Sue, thank you so much for joining us. That was a lot of fun. All right. Remember, everybody listening, Sue Bird's A Bird's Eye View podcast drops on Friday, and then the Sue Bird Dream Draft drops today. Go to ebay.com to check out all those cool items.
Thanks. See you guys.
Okay, that is all we've got for you today. And I know it was a lot, but it was all good. And so we want to make sure you come back here. Meet us on Friday. We got some more deep conversations around coaches in the WNBA. Who is crushing it this season? Who's not? I think that conversation will be very full. Plus, our Pride Month interview series continues with a very special someone. We've been doing pretty well this month. I think that you're going to come back to check in on that one, and you don't want to miss this. And before we go, quick reminder, subscribe to this show. Go ahead. It's the little button right below. I hope I'm pointing on the right side. Maybe I'm not. Here we go. Subscribe. It doesn't matter. Go press that button wherever you're listening, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Leave us a comment. Write us an email. We want to hear from you. Social media, whatever it is that's easiest for you. We want to answer your questions. I know y'all probably have a ton of questions, especially after that house settlement conversation. And of course, head on over to our partner, Yahoo Sports Hub, for more content. sports.yahoo.com slash, it's a forward slash actually, women's dash sports. Every time that thing gets me. On behalf of The Athletic, I'm Zena Cada. Appreciate you guys listening, and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to No Offseason. To hear more, be sure to like and subscribe. We drop new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.